Enemy droid sighted.
Roger, Command. We are on the move.
Hi, my name is Daniel and you are watching the Rogue Clone Trooper channel. Sorry for not having any videos out recently, but I've been spending time with my other channel trying to raise funds for this channel. Anybody who's built Armour or trying to build Armour will realise that it does take a lot of money to do so, and I'm just trying to raise funds at the moment so I can actually finish or start making and finally finish my fiberglass Clone Trooper armour that I bought. Now, I've had lots of comments and messages sent to me by people saying, why did I buy fiberglass and shouldn't I have done this and shouldn't I do that? And I tried to explain all that in my original first video of why I bought fiberglass. So if you really want to know, go back and watch it properly, you'll find out why I did it. But for the moment, I have been updating my original clone suit that I made nearly 2 years ago now. Now, last October, I did some alterations of it, trying to get it ready for Halloween, and it turned out pretty well. At the time, the only green paint that I could get was emerald green, and I had a lot of comments from Star Wars fans and people who are also into clone troopers and stuff like that, saying that the green that I picked was totally wrong. I understand that, but at the time it was the only green I could get, and people then started saying that he wasn't a shock trooper because shock trooper is supposed to be red, that he was more like a null arc trooper, and fair enough, his suit did look a little more like that. So I am going to change it again. I have finally got my hands on some olive green spray paint, and I did originally want to make him into a clone sergeant. So that's what I'm going to do in this episode. Basically, I'm going to go through the steps that I'm doing to change the armour that I have and painting it and any alterations that I'm doing on it. So please stay tuned and keep watching. Right, so the first step that I wanted to do was to start masking off my helmet because I want to repaint the green on it. Now, something's happened. When I went to get my helmet and armour out of my storage room in the attic, I found that, I don't know if you can see this now, but there's actually crack marks in the paint. I don't know if you can see any of these cracks. They're coming up on there you go, you can actually see that one there running that way and that one. And basically what's happened is it looks like cracked china, which is pretty cool in itself. But what's happened is here in Japan, because of our weather conditions, the heat is in the summertime goes right up to about 40 degrees, and then in wintertime drops down to -1, where I'm living anyway. And so with these extreme heat conditions, the plastic either expands or contracts, and that's what's happened now. Over the wintertime, the plastic has contracted on my helmet and has caused all these cracks in the paint to appear. So what I've got to do now is, where I was just going to go and mask it off and then respray it, I'm going to have to give this a light sanding now, which is going to take more time, which is not really what I wanted. But there you go, these things happen. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to finish up masking off my helmet. I've got the visor done there at the moment. I've also done the visor on the inside. I'll be taking all these paddings out, and I've covered up the vents on the back as well. Now, the other problem I have at the moment is because of it's still winter time here in Japan, which means our average temperature is about between 1 and 4 degrees mostly, and in my apartment it's pretty cool as well. It's not the best, which means that the masking tape doesn't stick so well. So be careful of that, using masking tape in colder conditions. I'm being very careful with the masking tape on the visor this time, because basically I did a stupid thing when I was reconditioning this the last time to put the green paint on it, and I didn't mask off the inside of the helmet, and paint got through and got onto the visor, and then I tried to use a cleaning agent to take the paint off the visor, and ends up melting the inside of the visor. So be careful. Certain paint thinners and removers will corrode plastic and melt it. which I found out to my detrimental of my visor. So that had to be replaced, which was a big feat in itself, because this helmet is stuck together and it's actually in between the front piece and the inside piece. It actually sits in between there. If anyone's got the Hasbro helmets, they know what I'm talking about. So take your time to mask off the helmet. Okay, it's worth it in the long run. So I'm going to finish off masking, because I've got a mask around this part and there's a few other pieces I have to mask off before I start sanding and painting, so bear with us. Now that's it, I've got most of it done now. I'll put a little bit more in there in a few minutes, but basically I have covered all my seal. Now people have asked me what this seal was that I put at the bottom of my helmet, and it's from a car supply shop, and basically it's rubber that goes around your window of your car. Okay, and it's got a split down the centre of it, so it sits around. And here in Japan you can buy it about 1.5 meters long to 2 meters long, and that's what I thought. I bought a meter of that, and I use that to go around, and it actually sticks together about here, I think, or one of the sides, I know. And just use super glue to stick it together, keeps it on. Okay, so that's really it. I've got it all done. I've even done up my little reflective piece at the back. Now don't worry too much if some of your masking tape does come off and a little bit of paint gets in, or when you're taking off the masking tape some of the paint comes off. You can always hide it with weathering and battle damage. You know, it comes in handy, but just do try to be careful though. Okay, so time to start sanding. Right, so I've just given this a good sanding down. Now what I've used to sand it down is this. It's actually a sponge sander, 46 grain. This is a pretty heavy grain to be using, but there was a lot I needed to buffer out on this helmet, stuff that I hadn't been able to buffer out before, and it's come up quite nice now. It's taken away a lot of the filling that I had left in it, and I've kind of prepared it now quite well. There is bits that need to be filled in from damage I did there to it before Halloween, so I'm going to repair those now. Now what I'm going to use to fill in those gaps is actually just, this is a putty for repairing walls. Now I've never used this before, so I'm going to see how this does. Okay, it's a liquid putty that's supposed to harden. So this is a bit of trial and error for me, and I bought some cheap spatulas to be able to spread it on. So let's see how that goes. This is working out quite well now. You don't need that much of it. Having the spatula to scrape off the excess is really nice, because then what it does is it just fills in the gaps, and with the spatula then you can smooth it out. So this might work out quite nice, all depending on how this finishes. much on this, and I'm able to fill in quite a lot of my little scratches and bumps and so on. So it's looking pretty good. As I said, this stuff that I'm using is actually designed for filling in holes in walls after you've had like screw marks and stuff like that. If you want to get rid of all the screw marks and fill them up, make the wall smooth again. So it's a type of poly filler, I suppose. And I did damage my helmet quite badly when I was trying to hurry it up basically for Halloween last year, and I had put a lot of holes in it. That's what I was using, was my Dremel, which I had just gotten at the time, to sand the EVA foam, which I was using to make the other body parts for my Armour. And I had this crazy idea that, hey, why don't I try and sand down some of the imperfections that I'd left in the helmet the last time. Of course, that went horribly wrong, and I ended up taking chunks out of my helmet, so that was a lesson to be learnt, and quite a costly one, because getting a helmet like this for me here in Japan can be quite expensive. Now, you can pick them up on eBay quite cheaply these days, but trying to get it shipped here to Japan just works out way too expensive. eBay for me now has worked out to be an expensive method of buying things these days, so with the Japanese exchange rate, it doesn't help trying to import stuff like that. So I was very lucky to get this helmet, and that was through a friend of mine who's seen it in a second-hand shop here in Japan. So unless another one comes up like that, I've got to take care of this helmet. So I won't be using any electric tools to be sanding out this helmet again. I'm going to do everything by hand. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. So I'm going to get back to filling the rest of this, and I'll talk to you later.
Lay down suppression fire! Choke on this one, Clanker!